No, Kate.
Oh,
There we go.
got it.
Thank you. All right, welcome everyone to ERA Live. Thanks for joining us today. It's good to see everybody. We are thrilled to welcome Sam Richter today. Sam is an ERA Live regular, and he's a conference regular and a step regular and everything else. Sam is an AI researcher and speaker and consultant. He has all kinds of products and programs. He's the creator of Intel Engine and, of course, ERA's SearchLink.ai, which we're going to talk about today. Today, he's going to be explaining all the new, latest, and greatest SearchLink upgrades and tools. So, before I hand it over to Sam, a few housekeeping notes. Attendees, please be sure your devices are muted. If you'd like to ask a question, please type them in the chat box and we will get to questions at the end. This session is being recorded. We will post the recording on our website and our YouTube channel within 24 hours. So, Sam, thanks for being here today. Welcome, and please take it away.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to see everybody again and excited to be here. There's really not a lot of new tools added, but all the tools have been pretty massively upgraded. So I thought it would be good to go through it. Just so you know, ERA Search Link, it's what's called a wrapper. And what a wrapper is a tool that leverages multiple generative AI systems. So ERA Search Link sits on top of there's probably about 15 different models that are being used at any given point in time. And I'm always upgrading them. So, for example, some of the writing tools have now been upgraded to the latest version of Claude Opus. Some of the research tools have been upgraded to the latest version of Perplexity or ChatGPT. And what it basically does is when I'm upgrading something, it usually adds a little bit more depth in the decision making. And so I have a number of tests that I put questions through to make sure that it's pulling back really good results. So really excited to share with you some of the newer upgrades. We'll start out with ERA GPT. Let me share my screen here. And it should take just a moment for everybody, for it to be roll in for everybody. So Claire, let me know when you see it.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, great. So think of this as your own version of ChatGPT or your own version of Claude, where you can put in really any question and it already knows you're in the electronics representatives, distribution, manufacturing industries. So it's always going to answer that through that lens. Now, there's a couple of features in here. You can click the paperclip and upload documents. I'm going to show you another cool tool I developed that will help you with that. And one of the other new features is this microphone. So you can now talk to it. I'm a big fan of talking to the data, talking to your tool. If you recall from my keynote presentations, I oftentimes will say that you need to treat generative AI like you would a really smart intern. Now, they're not, it doesn't have your wisdom, your expertise. That's why it's still an intern, but it has a lot of knowledge. So Claire gave me a few questions. I thought I'd post this one in here or paste this one. Explain the difference between an AEC Q200 qualified inductor versus standard commercial inductor to a non-technical purchasing manager, focusing on why the difference is justified. Now, for full transparency, I have no idea what any of that means, but hopefully it will make a lot of sense to you. Now, when I'm demoing something, we all have heard of Murphy's Law. I like to call demoing law. So what can go slow will go slow. So it's usually a little bit slower than I'd like it. But you can see what happens on the back end is, like I said, it already knows that you're in this industry. So typically, when we write a prompt, and we'll talk about writing prompts in just a moment, you need to put in your persona, who you are, who the audience is, who's the intended audience, how do you like your information delivered, and then what environment should that information be received. Well, typically in a custom GPT like this one, you usually only have to write the goal or the prompt because the system already knows the backend. So hopefully this is not hallucinating. Feel free to jump in and tell me if it is, but it should do a pretty good job. And as you'll notice now, versus those of you who may have used this in the past, the backend prompt is much more in-depth because the model is able to handle much more in-depth questions. So I was able to put in about a 500 word prompt in the background here. And so it's giving you a lot of information. It will always end with a success tip. And of course, it's interactive. You can click on the microphone here and talk to it, or you can, um, continue to just have a text conversation. So that's the real big change with the ERA GPT. It's just new models that it's using, much more in-depth. You can ask much more technical questions, and it should do a really good job of answering those questions. Under ERA GPT, we also have the prompt writer. And what the prompt writer is it's a simplified version of YouGot Prompts. YouGot Prompts is a tool I've developed. I'll quickly show it to you. It's free for everybody. So you can go in and craft an A-level prompt. So most people on a scale of, a grading scale of A, B, C, D, F, most people, including me, will write F-level prompts. So what's an F-level prompt? An F-level prompt is I need a chocolate chip cookie recipe. If you recall from my presentations I've given over the years at ERA, I teach people the guide framework, which is, again, you have a persona, what's the goal, who is us, who are we, who's our intended audience, how do you like the information delivered, in what environment is that information going to be received. And I would call that a D or a C minus level prompt when you write one of those. It'll do a great job, a good job, and it'll be fine for most things. But anytime you're asking for a strategic plan, a marketing plan, sales development, something that's a little bit more complex, you want to craft a prompt through YouGot Prompt. So what this will do is it will craft a 300 to 1,000 word prompt. Let me go back to ERA SearchLink because that is embedded in here already. So let's say I want a professional prompt and I need a strategic plan or need an idea for a marketing plan to market. I'm just going to type this in. The AEC Q1000 qualified inductor and justify the price. Just the price. So that, as you'll see, is an F-level prompt. So what this does is it will now analyze that F-level prompt that I just typed in. It will come back with a series of questions, so clarifying questions. Oftentimes when we enter in an F-level prompt, I need a chocolate chip cookie recipe, there's a lot of questions that are unanswered. And so what the system does is it will read the prompt and then come back with really good, and this will give you the AI analysis, why to come back with these questions. You can answer the questions and just skip it if you want, because I'm not qualified to answer any of these questions, quite frankly. But I'll skip and generate. And what you'll notice is now this is going to create an A-level prompt. So the F-level prompt is what we typed in. A D or a C minus level prompt would be one that follows the guide framework. And again, I want to be clear. F-level prompts are fine for simple questions. D-level prompts are fine for most questions. But something that's pretty technical, a marketing plan, a sales program, you want help getting, researching a new market, you're going to want an A-level prompt. So here's an A-level prompt. It's still going. Like I said, a good A-level prompt is going to be 300 to 1,000 words long. It's going to have audit trails built in. So that should dramatically decrease the opportunity for it to hallucinate. And it will also put in writing guidance. So it won't, when it writes something, hopefully it won't sound like AI. So as you can see, some human voice rules have been put in here. When we get the full level prompt, it's still going. So again, you're not going to, well, you could do this with a chocolate chip cookie recipe. You'd get one heck of a chocolate chip cookie. So I'm going to copy that to the clipboard now that the full prompt is written. And I should have done it before or after. But now we have an F-level prompt started with. Now we have an A-level prompt. We'll go into ERA GPT. We'll paste that A-level prompt. And now you're going to get one heck of an answer. Because I didn't answer the qualifying questions or the clarifying questions, it actually might come back with some clarifying questions. So we'll see. But I just wanted to show you this tool. And as this is answering it, I'm going to go back to UGOT prompts. One of the things I'm building out in UGOT prompts is a prompt library. So if you want to play around, this is a lot of fun. So these are pre-built prompts that I've already developed that do a really cool job. So for example, food and recipes. I don't know if I have a chocolate chip cookie recipe in here, but I should. But there are pre-built marketing prompts. So landing page copy architect, press releases, newsletter issue builder. And so all you've got to do is open these up and it will give you the full prompt. You can copy that, go into your favorite GPT, whether that's ERA GPT, Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever you're using, it'll work great. Product launch email sequence. There's currently about 65 in here, and I'll continually add new ones. Ones that just for fun that I really like are some of these image prompts that I put in. So these make really cool images. So you might want to go play around with this as well. Again, you got prompts completely free. So no clarifying questions. It made two assumptions. So if you recall, our original prompt was basically help me write a marketing plan for the AECQ 200, justify the price. You could paste that into ChatGPT. You'd get a pretty good answer. But when you use a tool like the prompt writer, again, embedded right into, just want to show everybody where that is again. It's right under the ERA GPT pull down or drop down menu. Just click on prompt writer. It'll write this A-level prompt for you. And as now you can see, you get a pretty amazing answer and it's still going. So I'll open it up to questions on any of these features. And Claire, I don't know if people are putting in questions in the chat, feel free to read them to me. There's probably the best way to do it so we don't all unmute at the same time.
Yeah, okay. No questions yet. So
Okay.
feel free, everyone, to put your questions in the chat, but yep, nothing yet.
So you can see, you know, it takes your prompting to another level. It's still going. So you're going to get one heck of an answer versus what you might get, say, in Copilot or ChatGPT. And because we put it in here versus Copilot or ChatGPT, again, it already knows that you're in the industry. So it's going to do even a better job. And why might it do a better job? Because I've given it the sources of information it's allowed to look at. So there's a few thousand sources, including ERA.org, that are embedded as part of the training in the ERA GPT. All right, let me go back here. Contract analyzer. I've shown this in the past, but basically it's again just continues to improve your ability to just make sure you follow the instructions. But this will really it'll analyze any contract. It'll first ask you to what party of the contract are you, vendor or purchaser, and it will then analyze the contract through your lens. And it does a pretty amazing job. It will give you everything from an overview to red flags, medium red flags. It will give you what potentially could be negotiated, and then even your fallback position if the other party is unwilling to negotiate. It's a really thorough contract analyzer. Let's go over to prospecting. Key contact search works the same as before, just much better now. So I can go in, put in a company name. We'll choose Raytheon, and I can choose a seniority level or a function level or a function level. We'll choose electrical engineers at the director. We'll choose manager level at Raytheon. So what the system does now is it's running through multiple level searches, everything from Google to LinkedIn. It will then compile those results. It runs it through two large language models that then score the results based on, I like to say, decision-making ability. So you can see someone at a 95 is most likely has a decision-making ability, and it gives you the score reasoning right here versus down here, no manager title. You can click this. Let's say I click this 5 times. So it will deliver 10 results at a time. If I click it 5 times, it will then have loaded 50 results into the system. When I export as CSV, it will actually export all 50. So you don't have to do next, and then export 10, next and export 10. However many you want, it will pull the list and then export. What's nice about this, if you haven't tried it yet, is you can now find the person's email directly inside the system. So it will go out. The first thing it's going to do is look at different types of places where an email might be. And so it tells us that their employee email domain or Raytheon parent company official website, we're going to choose the employee domain. It will then go out and search millions of attendee lists. It will search business directories to find David's email. If it can't find it, then it's going to run a mathematical algorithm to give us our best guess at what it probably is. And it will usually give us 2 or 3 sources. So it believes that David Alvarado at Raytheon.com. So I usually would put that in the to line, put the other one in the BCC line. That's defaults to electronic decision makers. You can also search by seniority at any company. And so this just gives you more functions. And then it can even run a power search. So what might that be? I could say, okay, using that example, find me people at Raytheon who have the word director as part of their title, and they went to the University of Minnesota. That's where I went, and they like to play golf. We'll see what shows up. So it just does, again, same thing. It will search, do a complex Google search, deliver the results. You can click on any of these links. It pulls up their LinkedIn profile, and then you can, of course, find their email address. Company search, same type of thing. We put in the majority of the main types of searches that people in the ERA world would search for. So for example, data center equipment providers in Arizona. Now, a lot of people miss this one right here, the more filters. So you can add in industry keywords, a company name. But here I'll put in between 500 to 1,000 employees. It will run the search. Same thing as before. It's running a complex search, and then it's going to run that through a large language model for relevancy. Once you get the name of the company, you can copy the name of the company down, go back under prospecting, and do a key contact search. Same deal. You can click the next button, the next button, and the next button, and export these as CSV files. Company website search. This just allows us to search. So if I type in 3M.com, I can search all pages on their website for the word electronics as an example. So this is searching not only the main marketing pages of a website, but also all of the hidden pages inside a website. Oftentimes, supplier pages, vendor pages, employee pages aren't being linked to off of their main website. These are the types of pages you can find here. Even you can find PDF files. So find me a PDF file that's sitting at 3M.com with the word electronics somewhere inside the PDF file. And then trigger events, not much has changed here other than the accuracy. So I can type in a company name. This will give us key hires. So if I type in, say, 3M, choose functions, I'll choose technology. So this will find us hires and promotions in the past 1 to 3 months, 1 to 4 months. Why is that important? We know that if somebody's been recently hired at a company, that they're much more likely to be open to a new vendor solution, much more open to creative ideas. So again, it will pull up the list, but this time it will be people who fit our criteria, who've been hired or promoted in the past 1 to 4 months. And so this person looks like been there for a while, but was promoted in August of 2026. Again, you can export, you can get their email address. Disruption events, what's going on in the other person's world. So I might type in Minnesota and manufacturing. And this is just going to run a complex Google News search. So find me mergers, acquisitions in Minnesota in the manufacturing industry. RFPs, patent search, and government contracts. Let me know if you want to see any of those in action. So any questions on the prospecting section at all?
Yeah, we had one in the chat,
Yeah.
Sam.
Mhm.
Tanios, I hope I'm saying that right, wants to know, sorry if you missed it, but what is the source for the contact information? This was back when you were searching for
Sure.
people and companies.
Yeah, so the contact, I'm assuming you mean the email address. So basically, I'm looking at tens of millions of business directories, attendee lists that are online. And if it can't find that, if it can't find one for that specific person, then I built an algorithm that basically scores different email addresses that it does find. And it makes an assumption, it's a mathematical assumption. Generative AI is a big probability prediction model. So it's making a probability of what it believes the email address is, and then it will give a mathematical score on what it believes, what it believes it is, and then it'll usually give one or two other options that you might put in the BCC line of an email. So if that didn't answer your question, please feel free to ask a follow-up one. Actually, we'll go right to contact info now. So email finder, I'll give you, I know my name. You can find my email address. So again, the first thing it's going to search for is a verified email address. And if it can find one through all those business directory searches I was mentioning, it will tell you right here that it's a verified versus somebody else, you put it in and it will give you a score. So like I said, takes a little demo log, takes a little bit longer than we would like, but it should come back with a verified. It will also, there's also a button down here. So get address and phone information. It's not going to find, usually won't find someone's mobile phone. Um, but sometimes it should have found my phone. I'm not sure why it didn't, but it will also take you to the organization's contact page. Meeting prep is where I've made a lot of changes. So I can go in here, type in any company, choose Raytheon again. Now, this does take a few minutes. It can take 4 to 6 minutes. It should be quicker than that. But when I work with sales teams now, I just bluntly tell them if your salesperson is not running a company analysis prior to every single meeting, to be blunt, they should be fired because that means that they're going into that call and all they're doing is talking about themselves. So what you'll see here is it builds a real detailed analysis of the company. Everything from who their competitors are, who their customers are, who their customers are, what's the risk of doing business with this company as a vendor, as a supplier, what's the risk of working for this company. It will even build out a full SWOT analysis on the organization. So it's searching, I've given it probably about 10,000 different sources that it's allowed to search at. It then runs all the research through an audit trail, and you'll actually see how it builds that. So it will verify, any information that it finds, it must verify from multiple independent sources. Again, it's never going to be perfect, but theoretically it will decrease hallucinations. And then it will compile the report, which you can then copy. There'll be a copy button at the bottom. You can copy the report, and then you can paste the report into your CRM system. So as this is building it, I'm actually just going to open up another tab, and we'll do the same thing on a personal analysis. And I'll run one on me. Now, I don't recommend that you don't have to run this every time you're meeting with a person, but if it's a big deal, yeah, you'll want to do it, and I'll show you why in a minute. Let's go run an industry analysis so you can see what that looks like. Let's go back. Still running on our company one. Oh, gotta select industry. Be nice if I click the button. So now it's starting to build out our analysis of Raytheon. So we'll give you a quick overview of what they do. Now, sales and messaging enablement. This is not what they say on a sales call. These are points that you might want to bring up if you were selling to them. What's going on in their world? How to best approach and communicate with them. It will give you some sample conversion openers. What are their likely strategic initiatives? What are some organizational details? Revenue figures, employee figures. How do they get their funding? What are some of their key products, services, and solutions? What market need do they solve? What's their strategic vision and corporate ethos? A little bit about some of the key executives. We'll give you customer intelligence, who their customer's customer is, customer engagement strategies that they're using, market and competitive positioning. What's their unique value proposition how do they position themselves against their top competitors? Financials and performance, digital presence in media, recent news articles. It will build out a SWOT analysis, and it's usually pretty darn accurate. Evaluation and risks for customers, investment potential, any red flags or concerns, and then it will give the references. Now, here's where it gets really cool. A lot of references on this one. It's interactive. So I can say, I have a sales call with their procurement department this afternoon. What are the three most likely concerns that they have today? Now, this will run a little bit quicker because it's already compiled the information. So we can see, well, let's look at the industry. So here's the industry overview one. So remember, we searched for data centers. So it gives me an industry overview, startling statistics. I oftentimes will use these in a presentation if I'm presenting to an industry association. Key industry highlights, who are the key players, customers, market trends, regulatory environment, growth opportunities, challenges and risks, technological impact, customer demographics, market forecast. And again, this is interactive as well. So I am meeting with a CEO of a mid-sized company in the data center construction industry. Give me three great questions I can ask her. Let's go back to the company one. So remember, I wrote, I have a sales call with their procurement department this afternoon. What are the three most likely concerns that they have today? So it's a pretty cool tool. And as I mentioned in my sales presentations, in my sales consulting, I tell salespeople, if you're not using this, you ought to be fired, because what it shows is you're just going in and talking about yourself. It takes a little bit of time, takes 3 minutes, big deal. In the whole conversation, you can copy the report, paste that directly into your CRM system. Oops, sorry about that. Let's go back to our industry one so we can see that as well. So I'm meeting with the CEO of a mid-sized company in the data center construction industry. Give me three quick questions I can ask her today. Again, it'll give you pretty darn good questions. So in today's world where we can do so much with AI to differentiate ourselves creatively, it's easy to create a really cool PowerPoint presentation, write a custom email, all those sorts of things. This is what wins you the business. Going in prepared, really understanding what's going on in the other person's world and what they care about today. And then the personal analysis, let's pull up that one here. Oh, did I mess this up? I probably did. We'll run it again. Unless I can run it on you, Claire. You okay?
Oh boy.
Well, yes or no. I mean, there won't be anything embarrassing. It'll only say nice things.
Sure.
Okay. Or we could run it on a Walter. Let's run it on a Walter. You seemed a
I
little,
vote yes. Let's run
yes,
for Walter.
run it off, Walter.
I know he's watching. I know he's there.
I saw him. So, so any questions on company, industry, and personal analysis? We'll see the personal one in just a second.
There was a question earlier. Is the information gathered or are searches shared outside of ERA?
No, no, they're not even shared internal to ERA. So there's no, other than the ERA GPT. So that is, again, it's not shared with anybody, but that information um, can be passed. I'm using the API, by the way, of all of the major models, so none of it's used during training, but that information can be stored. But again, no one's looking at it. No one, and it's certainly not shared. So, for example, that question that we asked of ERA GPT or any of these searches, none of it's being shared. And the only one where it's even being gathered is ERA GPT. And even that, I'm the only one who can see it. Let's go through as this is building out the personal analysis on Walter. Go back up here. Another tool that I added was relevant communications. And this is pretty cool. So I'll use myself here. I'm going to say my name is Sam Richter, company website, samrichter.com. And I'm commuting with Claire Buck of ERA.org. And promote my sales keynote. Please write an email. So this is called relevant communications. It will go out, it's going to research me, it will research Claire, it will research ERA, it's going to try to find something in common, and then it will write an email. So we'll come back to that in a moment. Open up another browser tab here. And the other one that I'm really thrilled with is Follow-up GPT. So the concept here is most salespeople give up after 3 connection attempts. A connection attempt being defined as a cold call, an email, a LinkedIn connection. You know, hey, they're not answering my emails. They're ghosting me on social. They never answer their voicemail. And so we move on. But the reality is, statistically, we know in sales that most people don't even respond until somewhere between the 5th and 15th contact. So how do you stay in touch with people in ways that are relevant to what they care about? And so that's what this tool is designed to do. So first, we're going to go find some general news. Let's use Raytheon since we've been staying with that. There's a lot of different ways we can put press releases, blog posts. Let's just do a Google News search on the past year for the word Raytheon. And so they were just awarded a 7-year contract. This article's about a week old. So I'm going to grab the web address of that article, copy it, go back in, go under Follow-up GPT. I'm going to do a company congratulations. This is just going to go to Joe at Raytheon. From Sam, I'm going to paste that in. And what this is doing is the system is now reading the article. I can add in a personal message, you know, how is your dog? Max feeling. Maybe the last time we spoke, his dog wasn't feeling well. I'll craft a longer message so you can see it. And it will generate, it's going to read the article and generate a relevant message. And as I always talk about in my programs, you're using AI to get you 85% of the way there. So the magic in any email, any writing, is you're going to put in your own stories, your own examples. But this makes it much faster to stay in touch with people in ways that they care about. So you can see that's a pretty darn good email. I'll show you a couple other examples of that in a moment. Let's go back to our personal analysis on our friend Walter. So what this is doing is it's looking at about 10,000 different data sources of information on people. And then I've built some algorithms in the background that say, okay, once we have this information, mathematically, what would Walter's core values be? And those, knowing Walter, that's probably correct. What might his personal mission statement be? What might his underlying motivations be? So if I was selling to Walter, am I going to run this? If I ever got a Zoom call this afternoon with Walter and I'm selling it to him, no, I don't need to run this. But if I'm a finalist for a seven-figure account, you're darn right I'm running this. I want every edge I can have. What's his decision-making style? If you were to take a Clifton Strength Finder, you know, Walter, and we all know Walter and love Walter. I think we'd say he's a relationship builder and a bridge maker. He's persuasive and driven. So what does it mean? What does that reveal? What does that mean as we communicate with him? He's a sociable community organizer. Absolutely. He's a recognized achiever. He's the unifying statesman, a fast-moving implementer. And then most important, if we were meeting with Walter this afternoon, that's how we should probably communicate with him. Action language that would resonate, emotional language that would resonate, what to avoid. Some background details, some startling statistics. And again, it's interactive. So I am meeting with Walter this afternoon to discuss why I should sponsor ERA.org. Give me 3 questions that will resonate with him. So as it's building out our questions, here's the relevant message. So again, it researched me, it researched Claire, it researched ERA. And I can say, make it a longer email. So everything in here on the communications tools, they're all leveraging best practices. So what are places like HubSpot and all these? So it actually will go out on a consistent basis. What are best practices for emails, for social media posts? How do we make them sound human? So make it a longer email with bullet points. On the back in here as well, we also have electronic news. So I can type in anything here. I can type in, we'll see if there's any articles from ERA. And this will look at electronics publications. So it's kind of like your own personal library on everything electronics. So again, same thing. I might just grab that article. We want to stay in touch with Claire in a way that's relevant to what she cares about. So I'll say personal congratulations to Claire, great from Sam. I'd say love reading this. I'm super highly could not read the content. Sometimes that happens. It's probably because of that ad. So I'll just, if that's the case, I just highlight it, copy it, and go back in and just paste it in. So here's the longer email with bullet points. And here's how we should structure the meeting with Walter. So any questions?
Yeah, this is great. We do have some questions.
Yeah, super.
Florin has a good one. He says, have you used the meeting prep tool to take the information gathered to create a podcast? or a recording, I guess. I
Oh
believe,
gosh, that's a great idea. Yeah,
yeah, he says, I believe a Gemini tool does this. I'm thinking
yeah,
about our sales team's
sure.
time they could review a report instead of reading it on a laptop.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great idea. So here's a report on Walter. I'm going to copy his profile. I'll go into, you can go into Claude or whatever you wanted to, but I'll go into ERA GPT and I'm just going to paste this in. Turn this, turn this profile into 10 great questions for Walter this afternoon. Yeah, so that's a great way. I've never thought of that.
Cool.
See, Walter thought when he retired, he had escaped from all of this. But Walter, you never escape.
He thought he was done.
Yep.
Okay, and then Tucker would like to know, for the individual profile,
Yeah.
what sort of data points is this tool using to build the profile of the individual? That is motivations to purchase. How does this tool differentiate interpersonal details versus generalizations of the company or other? I apologize if I missed this, but he's just a bit confused on this
No,
point.
it's a great question. So the personal details, it's really trying to dive in more into the individual psychology and how they think. Most people follow patterns, right? So the types of information it's looking at is everything from elementary school yearbooks, college yearbooks, high school yearbooks, obituary announcements of relatives, political donations, charitable donations, membership, social media profiles, articles, family members, what they like to do. So it pulls all that information. And with that, it's usually enough to be, for lack of a better term, scientifically valid, where I can run a mathematical equation in the back end to determine most likely who they are. How do they think? What do they care about? The type of person. Now, is it perfect? No, of course not. And so, is with anything in AI, you've heard me say it earlier, use it to get you 85% of the way there. And with a personal analysis, never use it to state fact because it could be wrong. But you use it to ask better questions and to really try to get behind the curtain, if you will. Like, what is this person going to respond to? So the example I use in my keynote presentations is my wife and I. So if you ran a personal analysis on me, you'd see that I'm a very bullet point, logical, give me the facts kind of person. And I can tell you, if you were selling me something, give me the facts. Versus if you ran it on my wife, you'd see that she's much more of a story oriented person. How's this going to impact people? How's it going to impact employees? I can guarantee you, if you tried to sell my wife with the big spreadsheets of bullet points, you're not going to work. And if you're going to try to sell to me with stories, not going to work. So that's really what it's designed to do is kind of give you insight on how the other person thinks. Is it accurate? Yeah, it's pretty darn accurate. And my litmus test, I've got a number of tests every time I run the model. Um, and many of the people in the test have no online profile, and that's to me the proof in the pudding. Can it be accurate with somebody who has no social media whatsoever? And yeah, it really is. On the company one, very similar. It's looking at articles, social media, um, annual reports, information on competitors, information on customers. And it's again, because generative AI is a probability prediction model, you can run a mathematical algorithm in the background and say, it's really kind of an if then. If this type of information appears, then it scores it mathematically. And if the score is high enough, it's going to make assumptions about the organization. That's how it builds out the SWOT analysis as an example. And usually the assumptions are pretty darn accurate. Again, perfect? Absolutely not. 85% perfect? Yeah. And we're not using it to state fact, we're using it to ask better questions. So hopefully that answered your question.
Great. Um, Florin has another one. Is there an MCP connector or ChatGPT Claude co-work feature to use SearchLink? That
Mm-mm.
is, so a rep firm can create their own agent inside our Copilot license. That way, my own customer data, CRM, OneNote can be used in conjunction with SearchLink.
Nope, and the reason for that is then earlier when someone asked the question, could others see what I'm typing? I'd have to use an MCP, you need to have an individual unique login that's tied to the organization, tied to the individual. And so you have your individual login to ERA.org, but everyone who is using this system doesn't have an individual login to the system. I mean, if that's something that you were interested in, you can certainly call me, talk to Claire, talk to the people at ERA. Maybe there's a way we can build something like that together. But the short answer is no. There's no API. There's no way to automatically tie your CRM into here. Now, saying all that, every feature in here has an export button or a copy paste button. So would it be nice if it tied into a CRM? Sure. Does it add 4 seconds to just click the copy button and then paste it in your notes field in your CRM? Yeah, that's what you'd need to do.
Awesome. Okay.
Any other questions at all? Well, again, I'm going to I'll probably add some new features as new tools come out, but I'll certainly be continuing to improve the features that are already in here. Feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have any questions. And, Claire, Walter, everybody on the ERA team, great to see you. And thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks so much, Sam.
Got it.
Um, okay, the recording of this session will be posted on the ERA Live section of the website and our YouTube channel within 24 hours. The next ERA Live is going to be on Tuesday, September 22nd, and the topic will be a preview of Electronica 2026 in Munich. We'll have some seasoned Electronica veterans presenting on that session. They're going to share tips and tricks and everything you need to know about attending Electronica. So we hope to see you there. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great night. Bye-bye.